Hello everyone. American author Jack Canfield once said that your habits will determine your future. Habits can make our life or it can break our life. Today we have special guest with us, Prasad Rajput, and today he will be sharing his insights on habits. Welcome Prasad.
Hey, hi Sumit. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you.
Before I introduce myself, I would really like to say that today we'll have a discussion rather than preaching or anything. We'll have a candid discussion, and we'll also try to explain some of the real life scenarios that both of us have gone through, so that our viewers can relate to it. So we'll keep it real, we'll keep it candid. So stay tuned. Yeah. And so to the viewers, my name is Prasad Rajput. I have been working on this thing called habit from very long, studying it from quite a while now. And me as a person, I'm a jack of all guys. So I've done so many things and like doing so many things. It'll take a lot of time to cover all those things. Pretty excited to be a part of Sumit's show.
So Prasad, could you tell us about habit? What exactly habit is and your viewpoint on habits?
Sure. So I was studying this thing and I came across a very good insight from Gaurav Gopal Das. And he has very funny example of explaining what habit really is. So what he says is habit is pretty much like a word habit itself. So think of any good habit or a bad habit that you have, and also imagine a word habit. So if you remove H out of word habit, what does remain? A bit still remains, right?
Yeah.
Now think of the same good or a bad habit and remove H and A from the word habit. What remains? Bit still remains.
Yeah.
Now think of a habit and the word habit. Now remove HAB from the habit. What remains is it. So it's pretty much like a bad habit. So no matter how much you try, it takes really long and it takes a lot of time to get rid of it. And that's what the word habit really signifies.
Yeah, that's great. Great explanation.
Thanks so much. So this is just an explanation which I found very relatable when it comes to a bad habit. But technically, if we would think of the definitions or how it's defined in the technical terms, habit is something that you do on a repetitive repetitive or a daily basis, and it really creates a mental imprint on, and the mental imprint is very often an imprint of pleasure. So that makes you do it again and again, and you most often go on autopilot mode. So let's take an example of smoking. So you go on autopilot mode because smoking gives you a mental imprint of pleasure. And every day when the same time or the same situation occurs, you tend to repeat it because you know that this will create a mental imprint of pleasure, and you go ahead and keep repeating itself. So when you do it on a repetitive basis, your mind pretty much go on autopilot mode, and you tend to repeat it, and that's how you end up creating a habit. And if you do it for real long term, it will end up creating a lifestyle. So much so that I've seen people who started drinking initially. As we all know, we all think what's going to happen with one or two drinks, and they ended up being a compulsive drinker. So much so that they cannot live without drinking. So that's how habit evolves, and that's really what habit really is.
Yeah. So this reminds me the book Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. So he explained about habit in some technical manner, like habit consists of three parts, like cue, routine, and reward. But you explain it in very simple manner so that anyone can understand this. Thank you for this.
Yeah, welcome, Sumit.
Yeah. So basically, what you explain is the combination of cue, routine, reward. So you have given example of smoking or drinking. So when we smoke or drink, means at the initial time period, you will not get that effect. But as mental imprints, as you told that if you do something repeatedly, and you will get pleasure from this, and this cause to make the habit, right?
Yes. So if we think of it, there's another angle to it, and I really like this angle. So let's take an example of smoking or probably a drinking, which both of these are bad habits. So there are four states basically when it comes to habit. The first state is unconscious incompetence. So
Okay.
let's take a scenario. You've been to a party with your friends, and your friend pushed you, and they've literally forced you to take a drink. You ended up taking a drink, and you thought it's okay. I mean, it's just a one day, so it's not going to be a problem. Now, what happens is over the period of time, let's say 1 week, 2 week, 1 month, 2 months down the line, I mean, you've been drinking quite often. Like that one drink made created an imprint on your mind, and
Right.
it's like on every weekend you started drinking. Now, still you think that you are not a drinker, or you do not have this bad habit. So this phase, unconscious incompetence, is where you have a bad habit, but you're not even aware of it. So it's what I could say, an alarming situation where you are developing subconsciously a bad habit, but you're not aware of it. So it's the very initial phase of creation of a bad habit. So it's like 2 months, 3 months, or 4 months when you actually started with doing the thing. Then the next thing is conscious incompetence. So what conscious incompetence means is, now someone has told you that you've been drinking from quite a while, and it started appearing on your physical level. Everyone who's seen you, from the behavior or by your look, everyone got to know that you've been drinking from quite a while. And now that you're aware that, okay, I have this bad habit, or for some reason I have developed this bad habit of drinking or smoking. So this phase is called conscious incompetence.
Okay.
Now,
Conscious.
the now the third phase is, you've realized that this is the bad habit, and this is the bad habit which I want to chuck away. So you started taking a corrective measure for it, like you talk to your friend, you do XYZ things, you try to reduce the number of drinks per week or anything. So this phase is called conscious competence. So competence basically means that you are aware and you are trying to fix it. And this is the most difficult phase. See, if you're aware of the bad habit and it is very deeply ingrained, and you're trying to consciously compete against it, this is the phase which is the most difficult, and this is the phase where people struggle a lot. And
Right.
this is the phase which really takes a lot of time to get over. And the fourth state is unconscious competence. And this is the stage where you completely chuck away your bad habit. You are not even aware that you are no more in touch with the bad habit. Like, say, for example, you were a compulsive drinker. Think of a state where you are no more a compulsive drinker. You don't even drink. It's been like 2-3 months or maybe 1 year that you've not even touched the drink. So this is a phase called unconscious competence, where you are in your conscious, you are not even aware that you had this bad habit, and you chucked it away from very long. So this is the phase where everyone wants to be when it comes to a bad habit or a good habit.
Yes, that's great explanation. Like, it is the process, and you divide that process into the four chunks. So if anyone wants to get rid of bad habit, what are the tools or what are the strategies you will suggest for this?
Sure. So see, everyone has to analyze himself, introspect himself or herself, and try to find out in which phase he or she is. So when I say phase, let's take an example. I have recently started the smoking, and I think that it's no big deal. I mean, I'm not developing a habit out of it, which means that I am in a first phase, the phase
Okay.
which is unconscious incompetence, where
Okay.
I'm not conscious that I'm developing a bad habit. So it's really up to a person, and a person needs to introspect which stage he or she is, and from there he can start taking a corrective measure. Now, when it comes to tool or or what we can say a framework as to how we could chuck away a bad habit, there's no fixed thing as to how we could chuck it away. I've seen people who were smoker and drinker, and they gave away this smoking or drinking habit uh, uh, really in a cold turkey way. So cold turkey is basically you had a habit, let's say smoking or a drinking, and you gave it all together. So say you've taken a uh, you decided today that okay, from tomorrow I'm not going to drink or smoke, and that's pretty much it. From tomorrow you don't do it at all. That's what we call a cold turkey way of chucking away your bad habit. But it's really difficult. Not everyone can do that because not everyone have that willpower. Then the other thing is gradually decreasing the amount or the count that we are doing. So that's a gradual measure we can say. So for example, you're having 5 cigarettes a day. Try to have 4.5 for 1 week, then 4 for second week, then 3 for the subsequent week. So this is a gradual way of doing it. Most people try to do it, and which is also a very good way of chucking it away. But see, it's the thing is we have to be very patient with ourselves, and we have to realize that uh, uh, developing some bad habit takes time, and chucking it away also takes a time. So I really like the example which Gaur Gopal Das gave on this. So think of a sapling and try to uproot a sapling. So if it's a small sapling and if you're trying to uproot it, it's very simple to uproot. Now think of a bush, like a sapling has gone up to this bush and you're trying to uproot that bush. Now uprooting a bush will take a few more efforts compared to the sapling. And now think of a big tree, and if you want to uproot that tree, it would take a lot more time and lot more efforts to uproot the tree. So this is pretty much how it is with the bad habit. The deeper they are ingrained in your mind and your system, the longer it will take to uproot it. And that's really how it is. I mean, that's the fact, to be honest.
Yeah, that's great thing. You suggested very good, 2 techniques to get rid of bad habits. Like first is to give up all the things immediately, and second thing is to reduce the amount or reduce the number
that's
of.
what we call a cold turkey way of quitting.
Cold turkey. Right. Next question is, could you please share your some personal experiences where you actually applied this technique?
Sure, Sumit. So I don't have much insight to share when it comes to bad habit and how I overcame it. But when it comes to cultivating good habit, I have so many examples. So I'll give you an example. I had this thing when I was in school. Of course, I was born and brought up in Ahmednagar, and I studied in a Marathi medium school. So if you can especially relate with this, we are. As we've studied 10 years of our life in a Marathi school, it is a bit difficult, honestly, when we go for higher education and when we try to compete. It's not a good word, compete, but when we go in a society where we are not much confident about our communication skill or English speaking skill, rather, not communication. So I have realized that until 10th, I was very casual about it. So it was an unconscious incompetence. I didn't even know that we have to, it's a good skill to have a good English speaking skill. When I passed out 10th, I realized that we got to be a competent English speaker. And that is what we call a second phase, which is conscious competence. So, So I was aware, okay, I got to know that I need to work on it. So from there, I started working on it. So there are 2 things I started working. First is practicing, of course. We got to practice no matter where the opportunity comes. It can be talking to your cousins, it can be talking to your teacher, it can be talking to your friends. Try speaking as much as possible. Second thing I did is I started I made a very small change in my lifestyle. I have started noting down I came across, and I started finding out their meaning and usage in the sentence. So this is, think of it like today you come across one word, tomorrow you'll come across 2-3 words, then day after tomorrow you'll come another word or another idiom. So I used to take a note of it and try to find the meaning and usage in the word. So it's like it's not a very out of the box or a very extraordinary thing. It's a very simple thing, but I've been doing it from like last 8 to 10 years,
Oh,
and
that's
I
great.
have 2,000 to 2,500 snippets, or we
Oh,
can say excerpt of the words and idioms. So I keep looking at them. I keep going through it every now and then,
that's
and
great.
it has impacted to a great extent when it comes to communication. So I'm very confident when it comes to communicating, and I have a decent amount of vocabulary. I won't say very good, but I have a decent amount of vocabulary. So this is a very minute change I did in a lifestyle. It doesn't take a lot, like it will take 1 to 2 minutes of your everyday life. But if you keep doing it, and I'm sure many of us already doing it, but if we keep doing it for a longer period of time, we have a very good returns. We'll certainly have a very good returns. So this is something a gradual or a micro change that I did in my lifestyle, which had a very good or a big impact when it comes to English speaking or a public speaking.
That's great. This reminds me the concept of micro wins, as well as the quote which we are aware of, like journey of thousand miles begin with a single step. So
Exactly.
you started before 8 years, and at that time, like I'm pretty sure that you started with very few words, and after that,
Yeah. Yeah, it was like when I started it, I did not even have a good mobile. It's just that I used to note it in the notebook. Then after if I'm not wrong, when I was in engineering, I had a good decent phone. So I used to take a snapshot and keep it in a separate folder. And then after engineering, as soon as I started the job, I had a decent phone. So from there, I used to take a snapshot and keep saving it and going through it. So after I had a good mobile, it became much easier. But the thing is, it's not about whether it's easy or not. It's about intent, one, and second, it's about the investment. So it's like I have been working on it from like last 8 to 10 years on a consistent basis, and for sure, I mean, it's like a law. If anyone does it for this long period,
yeah,
everyone will have a result. So it's
yeah,
like a
yeah.
law which fits to everyone.
Yeah, like there is a law of 10,000 hours rule. You might be aware of that rule. So here that
Certainly.
law is also applicable for you. Like if you work on the skill, like suppose from last 10 years. So now it is the part of your life.
Pretty
Your,
much, yes.
yeah, your mind will occupied with all these things. Like it's habitual to you.
Hmm.
Yeah. So this is the great example of you of if anyone wants to build a vocabulary or improve communication skill. So I'm pretty sure that my viewers and subscribers get inspiration from this your personal example.
Yeah. So yeah, another thing, it's very interesting. I'm not sure how many of our viewers are aware of this thing called a marshmallow test. So this was an experiment which was conducted by some of the scientists in US. And what they did is they have experimented this on children. So the children of say uh, uh, like a
Younger
first to
age, I
fifth
think.
standard, yeah, of a very young age. So what they did is in US, as in India, we are very fond of sweets and
Yeah,
especially gulab jam. In
yeah,
US, they have this thing called a marshmallow,
yeah.
and the kids especially love the marshmallow.
Mm-hmm.
So what they did is they have asked kids to one by one, especially
Mm-hmm.
they have asked them to come in one room, enclosed room. They
Mm-hmm.
have kept one marshmallow in front of them.
Mm-hmm.
What they informed or what they've told them is you can eat this marshmallow right away,
Mm-hmm.
or you can wait for next 2 minutes. And if you wait for next 2 minutes without eating this marshmallow, you'll be given another marshmallow. So interestingly, what happened was it was experimented on n number of scale.
Mm-hmm.
The case study was done on a huge audience or
Mm-hmm.
a huge number of states. So it's pretty famous and it's pretty reliable as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So the kids which were patient, Kids which had patience in them waited for the 2 long minutes. It was very difficult.
Yeah.
So if you see its video, you can see that kids are walking in a room. Kids are speaking to themselves, trying everything to avoid themselves from touching the marshmallow and not eating them. So kids fallen for the trap. Some kids couldn't wait for those 2 minutes and ate that marshmallow. And there were very few kids who really uh, waited for 2 long minutes and got benefited with another marshmallow, which is offered to them because they waited for those 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So the point of the study was the kids who waited for these 2 long minutes not only had the another marshmallow, also showcase that they have very important skill which is called patience.
Yeah.
And these are the kids who became a very big person like vice president, presidents, and very giant magnate personalities as they grown away. So what this test conclude was the kids which has patient or the person who have patience can become a very good person. And
Yeah.
that is what really matters when it comes to chucking away a good habit or cultivating a good habit.
Yeah.
Patience is one of the most key skill that we'll need when it comes to a cultivating or a chucking away a bad habit.
Yeah.
And that's really something that I found really relatable. And that is something that we all can work on when it comes to building good habits.
Yeah. So patience and willpower are two most important thing.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. What would be your suggestion to all the youngsters in India? Uh, Nowadays, we know that people are like youngsters are suffering from a lot of problems like porn addiction and something like smoking and drinking, and these are some bad habits. So, what would be your suggestion if they wants to
See,
get rid of bad habits?
one thing I realized, and this is pretty much a personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I realized was there are many bad habits that can be chucked away with a single keystone good habit.
Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned a couple of them. There are many others as well.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to this keystone habit, so what it does is it acts like so think of a pebble. So
Mm-hmm.
think that you have a pebble and you thrown it in a river
Mm-hmm.
or maybe a pond. So what you can see is as soon as it enters in the river, it creates a ripple. So similarly, good habit can create a ripple effect around your
Mm-hmm.
bad habit and help you chuck them away. So
Yeah.
let's take an example of meditation, yoga,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
gymming, workout, running.
Yeah.
Take any example of a good habit. If you cultivate this good habit, they automatically helps you chucking away many of your bad habits. And this is
Mm-hmm.
something that I have experienced and many of my friends have experienced
Yeah.
as
Yeah.
well. So I might not have a very a detailed study or the data, but
Mm-hmm.
you look around and you will see people will tell you that they've
Yeah.
had some good habit which they do every single day and which has helped them chucking away with other bad habits as well.
Yeah.
So that is something that we can do. We can cultivate some really good habits like exercising every single day,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
consuming good food, or meditating for that matter, and it can really help us chucking away many of our bad habits.
Yeah. So you can say that this good habit or the giant habit would be the catalyst if you want to get rid of all the bad habits.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Many people complaining that they are not able to make those good habits like workout, gym, etc. because they are busy. They are having some busy schedule. So, do you know about any tool or technique so that can help those people who are really busy in their work? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, Sumit. So, see, I understand. I mean, it is very difficult when you
Hmm.
are working, say, 9 to 5, or some people work 9 to 8, 9 to 9. I've seen people
Hmm.
who work 9 to 9,
Yeah.
like 12 hours every single day,
Hmm.
and still they make it a time for workout. Like they go for 9:30, they go to gym from 9:30, or they go to gym 11. I've seen many friends of mine doing
Hmm.
it. So there are two things to it. One is priorities.
Mm-hmm.
You have to set your priorities, and you have to set a goal that you have to do it every single day. One.
Mm-hmm.
And second thing is, I have came across the concept called time lock. So what time lock really means is, time lock is basically locking some period of your time. So it can be 15 minutes, it can be 30 minutes, it
Mm-hmm.
can be 1 hour. So
Mm-hmm.
what is suggested is you can lock that time
Mm-hmm.
for the particular activity. Now, what is suggested is, say for example, you blocked half hour for exercise. Now you can utilize that time for either utilize it in the morning or the evening. It's really up to you. It can be flexible, but it's
Mm-hmm.
just that time lock really means locking your time for that particular activity itself.
Mm-hmm.
So you are not supposed to entertain anything else from it,
Yeah.
only the emergency thing. So emergency means you're dying or something else. Apart from that, you should not entertain any other thing than what is you are trying to do for that particular 15 or 30 minutes. So,
Mm-hmm.
what happens is many people just go through their day. They have no idea what they're doing, or they are just consuming their energy and time from whatever comes to their way
Mm-hmm.
during entire day, and they have no idea what how the entire day has gone. So this locking is very important. So if you decide that you've locked particular amount of your daily time to this activity, you're aware that you have to do it, and you
Mm-hmm.
are not supposed to do anything else except the thing that you have decided to do. So
Mm-hmm.
this is something that I've been using from quite a few time now, and it's very helpful because uh, it makes you aware that you have to do it, and
Mm-hmm.
no matter how important thing is, no matter uh, 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 what the thing is, you have to do it for that 30 minutes or 1 hour. So time blocking is really good concept when it comes to cultivating good habit, and many people have been using it consciously or unconsciously to build good habits.
Mm-hmm. So this is very good concept, like prioritizing your things and time blocking. So Prasad, I have seen a lot of people like who join the gym, and they first few initial days they are like really motivated to making very unique and very good body, good physique. But after some days or after some few weeks, they gave up on their workout because I mean, I discuss this problem with a lot of people. So they were telling me that the lack of motivation, I'm not able to handle this situation. So how anyone can cope up with this situation?
Okay, it's a really good question, Sumit, actually.
Yeah, thank you.
So you go to a YouTube and you just type motivation. You'll see like there are thousands and lakhs of videos on motivation because
Mm-hmm.
it's like a buzzing word in the
Yeah.
market right now, and it's
Mm-hmm.
so overrated. I mean, everyone is. I mean, you would see the word motivation once in your day for at least once in a day. So it's.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really overrated motivation, and the thing which should be overrated is underrated, like
Mm-hmm.
consistency and discipline.
Yeah.
So uh, motivation, it's not going to be a same day. You have to understand life is very dynamic.
Yeah.
The thing will not remain the same. uh, Someday you'll feel all pumped up and going to the gym because you think you're highly motivated, and some
Mm-hmm.
other day you'll feel that you're completely exhausted. You have had a very bad day in office, or maybe
Mm-hmm.
your boss chastised you, and you no longer go to gym. You just want to go to your bed, read comics, and eat your favorite cookies and sleep. So it's okay. It happens with everyone, but it's just that we have to learn how to control our emotion
Mm-hmm.
and build a lifestyle. So think of it
Mm-hmm.
like a lifestyle, from a
Yeah.
lifestyle perspective. You wake up every day, you brush, you bathe, you eat, and you work whatever work you have. Do you really need motivation for it? I
Yeah.
mean, none of us need motivation to get up and brush and bath because it's pretty much
Mm-hmm.
a life. It's pretty much like a part of our lifestyle. Similarly, the workout or whatever good habit you're trying to cultivate should become a part of your lifestyle, and it
Mm-hmm.
takes some time. Honestly, it
Yeah.
takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of mental battle. So one very famous guy said, work on your mind and your body or your habit will take care. You need to on your mind and
Yeah.
give your mind positive instruction that you, no matter what happens, you have to quit doing it until
That's good.
it becomes a life of your, it becomes a part of your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really how I would approach building a good habit, instead of craving for something to motivate me or
Yeah.
craving for something
External
external factor.
motivation.
Yeah.
I like this concept of yours. Like motivation doesn't last long forever. It's your
Yeah,
habits.
it's another example. Think of a goosebump.
Mm-hmm.
Something extraordinary happens in your life. You watch something extraordinary, you see something extraordinary, and you get goosebumps. It happens with
Mm-hmm.
every one of us.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
had
yeah,
happened with me when India won World Cup.
yeah,
So
yeah.
motivation is pretty much like a goosebump. It
Mm-hmm.
comes, it
Mm-hmm.
comes every day to our life, but it doesn't last long. And there is no guarantee that you will get it tomorrow or day after tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I can guarantee you that you will not get it consistently. So
Yeah,
what will
yeah.
you do on that day when you're not motivated? And that
Mm-hmm.
is where a habit or how you control your mind and develop a lifestyle really
Yeah.
works. So try to develop a good lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
The habit will eventually happen. The outcomes will eventually come. And as soon as you see a good returns, you will be self motivated. You will
Yeah.
not wait for any external
This is
motivation.
very good suggestion by you, Prasad. Like you suggested that make your fitness as a lifestyle. So what I am thinking is like first few initial days, it is really hard for us to like wake up early in the morning and go to gym. But if you consistent in it, and if you, as you suggested, that if we apply the principle of prioritizing the things and time block, definitely we can make our fitness as a lifestyle.
Surely,
And
sure, sure.
one thing I would like to ask here is I have seen many videos like Robin Sharma, and he suggested that if you want to build a good habit, like it will take like 21 days to 66 days, according to research. So in this,
So
yeah.
certainly, yes, yes. So the longer you keep doing it, the longer and the better mental imprint it will create, and
Mhm.
your body, your entire mind will go on autopilot. So
Mhm.
you'll do it more often.
Yeah, yeah. So in this 21 to 66 days, so if one person wants to quit his bad habit of smoking, so in this period, like this period is very crucial for him or her. So there are a lot of surges, or you can say spike, that will arrive in this period. So how one can get control of this spikes?
Awesome question. Awesome
Thank
question,
you.
Sumit. So see, I'll give you one personal example.
Mhm.
Our mind really works on replacement. So if I tell
Yeah.
you that, for example, I have a habit of uh, complaining, or maybe if I have a habit of smoking, and
Mhm.
if I keep telling my mind that I don't want to smoke, I don't want to smoke, I don't want to smoke,
Yeah.
I don't want to smoke, it won't work that way. What happens is, every time you come to the vicinity of the actuators, so say
Mhm.
for example, every time you're stressed, or every time you come close to a pan shop where you can buy
Mhm.
cigarettes, your mind will tell you or give you a signal that you have to buy it.
Mhm.
You have had a pleasure of
Yeah.
buying a cigarette, consuming it, and it has already created a mental imprint of
Yeah.
pleasure on your mind. So our mind will automatically give us a signal that we have to do it. But
Mhm.
the one way we can avoid it is by replacing our thought. So this is very
Mhm.
interesting. So instead of trying to what we can say suppress the negative thought, what
Mhm.
I suggest is we encourage positivity, or we encourage some other thought, or we
Mhm.
replace the bad thought with a good thought. So
Mhm.
if we try to suppress him, it's like a spring. The
Mhm.
more you suppress, the more it'll come back. So it won't work that way. We have to replace those thoughts with something else. So if
Mhm.
you get a feeling of doing something bad, I would
Mhm.
rather suggest you replacing it with something good, or try to consume yourself with something good instead of trying to suppress feeling, which would
Mhm.
eventually not work, I guess.
Yeah. So this reminds me the principle of Tony Robbins, like uh, we do the things to gain pleasure to or to avoid the pain. So if someone wants to get rid of bad habit of smoking, so he must focus on to get means he must visualize himself like what will be the benefit he will achieve if he program his mind, like what will be the pleasures if I get rid of this bad habit. This is very interesting thing. So thank you so much, Prasad, for taking your time and sharing wonderful insights as well as practical example. And I really like that personal example that you have used in your life, like to build a good vocabulary and English communication skill. I'm pretty sure that this insights and this practical all tools and techniques and your personal example will help all people. Guys, I will post all links of social media, so do check out his all social media accounts. Thank you so much.